Hello, hello everyone. I hope that you all are doing fantastic. I'm gonna be doing some housekeeping stuff in the very beginning of this stream just to do what I need to do. So feel free to cozy in, get a nice drinky drink, get started getting situated. I feel like I'm also like low-key alone in here, which is not a bad thing at all. I'm gonna wait for everybody to get in here. And also too, I need to make sure all of my stuff looks right. Because I'm no longer playing Date Everything. That is not what's happening to me over here. There we go. And actually, truly, I'm gonna go ahead and be good about this over here. Hope everybody's having a good day. Hey, you, what's going on? How you doing? I hope you're having a fantastic day. Okay. I should have done this before I launched the stream, but what? I'm getting paid to listen to this at work, so pretty good. You know what? I love that. I love that for you. I love that. I hope you're having a good day at work. Oh my goodness. I'm sending out a newsletter currently to let everybody know that we're here. Hi, Goose. How you doing? How you doing? I hope you're having a fantastic day. Great. Let me get this audiobook or this newsletter out really quick. Got the shift I wanted to, first choice. Oh, very nice. Okay, but like that's actually pretty good though. I'm doing a 4-day work week next semester on a 40-hour work week. I see. So that'll, yeah, be more time to do business or social. Yeah, I hope so too. Apparently a lot of people like the 4-day work week like over the 5-day work week. So like I feel like truly if like that's what people prefer, that's like where we should probably be shifting our time, at least in my mind anyway. You know, like, why make people do stuff that they don't want to do? Everybody is tired. You know, we're all just tired. Just saying. But thank you so much for taking the time out of your all's day to show up and participate in the launch party. Like, that's really, really exciting. I'm so stoked to be able to do this and be able to talk about everything that we've got going on. I'll probably get started here in about 3 minutes or so. I saw a nurse on Instagram who raved about having long-ass work days crunched up over having it more days. Yeah, true, though. Like, I'll take it. Like, for real. I think that that's not a bad thing at all. Okay. Let me get everybody some linky links so that way everybody knows what's going on. And then I'll be good to go. Thank you so much for bearing with me while I do all of this housekeeping stuff, because I really want to make sure that my newsletter people actually know that we're live, because a lot of people, they will forget that, like, I exist. So making sure that they know that I'm here is really, really important. Again, I probably should have done this before I launched, but you know what I mean. It's whatever. That's fine. That's fine. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, cool. I'm gonna save this and hope that the links are right. Corporations are dead set on destroying jobs. AI might just do it. So when companies are actually dedicated to destroying the jobs that make people's livelihood, perhaps making people, or whether people can pay rent or not, shouldn't hinge. Yeah, it shouldn't hinge as much on that. Exactly. Well, and also too, like, we should be moving more toward, like, prioritizing people's mental health, you know? Like, I want to fucking be able to take breaks and stuff. Like, I don't want to die. That's just all I gotta say. I don't want to die. I just want to ride my motorcycle. Cool. I don't know if I'm too old, if that's too old for people. If that's an ancient reference. Alright, cool. Let me send this out. We'll see if anybody else joins getting the email, but who knows? That being said, I'll go ahead and get started here. So yeah, I mean, everybody here knows who I am. I'm going to, like, just give a spiel for the sake of the VOD. Because you never know if anybody's going to be watching the VOD for the first time and not have any idea who I am. It'll be a good time. So, as you all know, my name is Tycho Dwellis. I'm an author, a publishing consultant, and an illustrator, and I wrote a vampire book that was heavily inspired by D&D called King of Dust. And, yeah, it's pretty great. It's silly. It's inspired by the Curse of Strahd campaign, and it was a Waddy's 2022 shortlister, so it didn't win, but it was very close to doing so. And then, also, it was a Waddy's Editor's Choice pick twice, which is pretty crazy. Yes, I am on YouTube. I am indeed live on YouTube. If you want to go check it out. I'll drop the link in there, but yes, the live is live over on YouTube. It is over here. Hi, Eric. Welcome in. Welcome in. Yeah, there is the YouTube link for those who are interested, but yes, I am over on YouTube. But yeah, so King of Dust did great, and everybody just kept asking me whether or not I had an audiobook for it, because I recognize a lot of people don't physically read anymore, and it kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, I have to record an audiobook for this, because otherwise I might lose out on actual people, which would be very, very sad. So I recorded an audiobook by myself. I mastered it completely by myself. And I put it out as it should be. So I am very, very, very excited about that. Very stoked. It's going to be amazing. And overall, I'm really happy with it. It passed all the quality checks, which is crazy. So that was like the most difficult part. The point being now is you can now get King of Dust in a variety of different formats. And not only can you listen to it on Audible or via audiobook, I might include an extra link down here. But if you are interested, you could also listen to it pretty much everywhere you want. Like, if you have Spotify Premium, you can actually listen to King of Dust for free on Spotify. So, if you have any questions about what platform this is available on, let me know, because probably it's over there. And, surprise, surprise, you may have access to it already, whether you know it or not. So, yes, you can check out King of Dust here, as always. And then I would like to start by even saying truly a massive, massive thank you to everybody who supported the King of Dust Kickstarter. both the regular Kickstarter for the book itself and the audiobook Kickstarter, because this book has been the biggest seller out of my entire collection ever. I've never had books have such crazy success before. Yeah, it's definitely like crazy. It's just been nuts. So, yeah, so thank you again for that. I really do appreciate that. And if you've read King of Dust but you haven't written a review on Amazon yet, I would highly encourage you to go and do so. The more reviews I can get, the more credibility I have, and that allows me to do a bunch of marketing stuff that I can't do currently. So you should totally go and drop a review over there. If at all possible, if you want to go and do that on Amazon and Goodreads both, if you have the ability to do so. But what are we doing today? So today we are going to be reading through a couple of short stories. The first is just one that I kind of wrote on a whim because I felt like I really needed to, and it was going to be for funsies. And it was a reward actually for a goal on Twitch, I think, which is pretty cool. Let me think about what else. Yeah, so that was, yeah, I can't remember. I was looking through my goal history and I couldn't remember what the actual goal that we met was for. But we did meet a goal, which was very cool, and that was nice. So, pretty awesome there. And then, whoops, as I threw a book on the ground. Sorry, Tatsu. Oh my god, I just scared the shit out of the cat. Sorry, buddy. But the other one, Gilded Coffin, that we're going to be reading today was actually a reward for the Kickstarter backers. So everybody on Kickstarter with the audiobook got it earlier than everybody else. And now you guys are going to be seeing it if you didn't back the Kickstarter for the very first time, effectively. So we're going to be going through both of those today. Both of them are prequel short stories, so they are backstory information for how the characters got into Darius's life and why they do what they do. Maybe in the future I'll write an Astrid one. It was supposed to be a stretch goal for the Kickstarter that we didn't meet, but maybe in the future I will write an Astrid fanfiction. And then also, too, at any point, you guys can also ask me any questions that you have about publishing audiobooks, publishing in general, writing, all of that good shit. Literally, whatever questions you have, I am definitely willing to answer. I will preface this, though, by saying that I have mad allergies right now, so I probably will be stopping the mic for, like, moments and blowing my nose so I'm not nasty, and then continue reading. So that's kind of how this is going. Nature decided to fight me, and I'm not really feeling very good about it. So, without further ado, the first one we're going to start with is Cold Oath, which is Urian's short story. So, yes, I'm very, very excited. So, I hope that you all enjoy. I'm going to go ahead and turn the music down just a little bit so it's more background noise than it is anything else. Please share this stream with your friends if you know anybody who might be interested in listening to some free books today and hanging out. And, otherwise, I'm very excited to, yes, I'm very excited to get started on this. So, I hope that you enjoy. Oh, there's an air quality alert in effect today, apparently. Yeah, I think my nose is just mad, to be honest. Like, I really do think that it's just mad. So, hopefully this won't be so bad. But I hope you all enjoy. Sit back, relax, get a cozy drink. And, yeah, here we go. They left at dawn, like cowards or fools, whichever the road demanded. I did not stop them. Their debts were paid, their blood spilled. The rest was mine to finish. A prince turned parasite did not deserve a blade at his throat. He deserved being crushed at the hands of a god. And so I walked alone into the rotten heart of Starbon's castle, where the earth stank of old blood, and the sky had forgotten the color of the sun. One last hunt, one last reckoning, and then perhaps I could finally be done with him. The castle itself was less a place and more of an empty memory. The stones sank into the earth, half swallowed by time. Ivy strangled the towers, the banners had long since fallen, but I knew the colors, crimson and gold. the Starbond crest stitched by trembling mortal hands long dead. Now only ghosts lived here. Ghosts and one cursed prince who just wouldn't die. I moved silent as a breath through the courtyard, deliberate and eager. I had hunted his kind through frozen forests and sunless tombs, so this would be easy. My bird flew overhead. Avrena watched. She always did. Vampires lie. They charm and beg and weep blood if it suits them, but they do not wait for death. Not like this. I found him where I knew he'd be, in the chapel, because they always returned to the bones of their past. Darius Starbon, last of his name, knelt before a broken altar to some god I wasn't familiar with. I hadn't expected that. I drew reckoning from my chest, the tattoos on my skin warping and pulling as the head of the blade rippled in the air around it. A shot of sunlight beamed to life as I held it, the blade heavy in my hand. Great swords weren't typically my speed, but this sword was made for one purpose, and one purpose only: killing the last king of Starkovia. I should have run him through right then. But I watched. The stained glass above him had shattered from one of our previous fights, moonlight bleeding across his pale shoulders. He had shed his imperial armor and knelt silhouetted in a shirt and trousers, clearly not armed for a fight. He looked tired. Not regal, not monstrous, just something to be hunted. He had let his long, dark hair down from his braid and discarded his coat. I tasted the hunger bleeding off him. He hadn't eaten in a while, it seemed. I wondered why. "Darius Starbon," I finally said. His head turned slowly, like he had misheard me. "I was wondering when you'd come back, Inquisitor." My voice sounded hollow in the chapel. "Do you know why I'm here?" "I'd assume it's not to pray," he chuckled. "If I remember correctly, you don't worship Fonda." I took one solid step forward. "By rights, you should be dead. Avrena demands that I finish what I started. It's time for you to meet the pyre, so that the land can be purged of all the spawn you created." All he did was nod. "You say I should be dead, and yet here I am. What's got you hesitating?" The arrogance should have lit my blood. It didn't. There was no fight in his eyes, no hunger. Just resignation. I had never seen anything like it. After a breath, he said, "Do it then." I moved on instinct and brought reckoning to his throat, the edge of the flame blade kissing his skin. The heat of it made his flesh bubble and blister. He smelled of death, which was typical, but also of myrrh and rose and sage. He took a sharp inhale, though he didn't need to breathe. I don't know why I hesitated. No, that's a lie. I knew exactly why. Avrena was silent, waiting for me to make a choice. Her will was mine, and for whatever reason in that moment she did not command me to draw blood. "Why?" I ground out. "Why wait for me? Why not end yourself?" He shrugged. "Tried. Doesn't stick. Convenient. Cursed," he spat. "Do you think I asked for this?" My hand twitched. He could be bluffing. That's what they did. Lie, bluff, bend the truth, twist reality into something that served them. I brought the blade closer, enough to cause his skin to rupture a little from the heat and draw a bead of black blood. It shimmered, thick as tar. "You speak as if you want to die." "Who wouldn't, after 400 years of this bullshit?" He laughed. "Then why haven't you?" "You've got the blade, don't you? I can't exactly do this myself." I laughed, dry as a bone. "You think this is mercy? At this point, I don't really give a shit what it is, to be honest." He sighed. "Tired. Just finish it." I should have. Slice through his neck, cauterize the wound, spill his black blood, and walk away. But I stood there, my blade trembling against his skin. My raven cawed. I cocked my head to listen, but got no further instructions. I was missing something. Darius Starban wasn't fighting because he had nothing left. No kingdom, no kin, no lover to chase. Somewhere in the deepest part of me I barely acknowledged, I knew that this wasn't a victory. This was a waste. Get up, I barked. His brow furrowed. What? I sheathed reckoning, the flaming blade extinguishing itself as my tattoos stretched and pulled to make room for it. The hilt disappeared into the inky black, and I pulled my collar back into place to cover my skin. I said, get up. I don't... You want to die? Confusion flickered across his face. What are you playing at? I don't do games. I turned, walking toward the chapel door. You have two choices, Darius Starban. Come with me or stay here and starve to death. Either way, I'm done wasting my time on you. I didn't wait to see if he followed. To my surprise, Darius kept a tight pace behind me, unnervingly quiet. I'd expected pleading threats and maybe even a desperate lunge for my back while my guard was down. So, where exactly are we going, Inquisitor? He asked, his nervousness betraying him. Is this one of those dramatic pilgrimages where you kill me at dawn for poetic justice's sake? I kept walking. We're going into town. Lovely. I'm sure the Starkovians miss me dearly, he chuckled under his breath. Not like they flee at the sight of me. I shot him a hard look over my shoulder. Spare me. What, no appetite for small talk? His grin was sharp and boyish. I couldn't believe he wasn't taking this seriously. I could tell you a story, give you the sordid details of my fall from grace. I read the reports. Do you believe everything the townspeople tell you? He kicked a stone off the path. They leave out all the good parts, the part with all the family drama, or the part where I stopped dreaming. I said nothing. Let him talk. Most people vomited their entire life stories when faced with the end. And what do you think, Inquisitor? Am I worth the effort? The whole year of your mortal life you spent chasing me down? Darius flashed a long-fanged smile. Or are you just too pious to gut a man who kneels? I want to see how hard you'll fight back. My God is curious about you for whatever reason. I don't question her, I simply follow her will. He laughed, a rough sound that bounced off the stone of the castle. Maybe it's my lucky day. If she's so curious, she could come and meet me herself. I'd agree with her. I'm quite the unique case. We left the castle, proceeded down the long path to where I had parked my wagon and camped under dead trees and a sky empty of stars due to clouds. I did not sleep. Cambions don't sleep easy, not with blood like mine. Darius sprawled nearby like a cat, hands laced behind his head, watching the sky and hoping a few stars would poke out. Why did you stop? He asked eventually. I didn't answer. He didn't deserve answers. Evrena, was it? He pressed, voice softer. The lady of life and death. A few more Traians worship her too. She never was my cup of tea. You think she really gives a damn about me? She sent me, and you think that means something. I stood, tired of the conversation. Dawn's coming. The village looked beautiful in the dawn. I was so thankful that the sun had started to come up, and I was sure the people were too. Smoke rose from lazy hearths, life as much as this land had left, but I smelled it first. The copper sting of blood, heavy and fresh, spattered across the edifice of a house just on the edge of town. Darius froze beside me. A vampire fed here. I nodded. One of yours. I don't have vampires. They're not my spawn. They're my wife's children. Right, so by that logic, your children. Get rid of it. His brow furrowed. What? Your one of your kind is feeding here right now. I pointed toward the village. If you're as eager to die as you say, walk away. Otherwise, kill it. Dawn is coming. I won't have time to hunt it down and kill it. Sounds like a personal problem. Darius stared at the rooftops, jaw working. You're serious? Deadly. After a moment of silence, he laughed. Not bitter or angry, almost gleeful. Gods, you're an asshole! I said nothing. Without another word, Darius strode forward, toward the smell of blood. I followed, watching every twitch of muscle, waiting for him to turn, lunge, and then betray me. He didn't. We found the vampire in a barn, young and barely turned. Sloppy. The thing had a boy pinned beneath it, fangs sunk in deep. Darius stopped cold, and I raked his face for answers. He looked mortified, covering his hand with his mouth. It shocked me a little. He had done the same thing, killed innocents. Why would this abhor him? Do it, I ordered. Darius raised a commanding hand instead, voice filled with gravel. Hey, you! Let the boy go. The fledgling whipped around and snarled, red-eyed and manic. He's mine! Go get your own! Do you know not who I am? The vampire spawn looked Darius up and down and cocked his head in curiosity. Oh! Are you the king? I used to be. Right, used to. The spawn rolled its eyes. Go bother someone else. Fine, die with him then, Darius said simply. Faster than I could blink, Darius dematerialized into something that looked like a shadow, black mist that made the air stink of burnt charcoal. In only a moment, he appeared on the other side of the barn, leaving a streaking black line through the air. A burst of black blood exploded from the front of the vampire's chest, splattering the barn's walls in viscera, and the vampire gurgled as they choked on their own blood. The vampire looked down at his chest, which had been shredded to bits by something. Darius stood in the shadow of the barn, hand flexed and claws extended. His delicate long fingers were coated in the vampire's black blood. He shook his hand to shake off most of the flesh and blood and then looked over his shoulder. You should have obeyed your king. The vampire fell face first into the hay. The body twitched, spasmed, and then went still. Ash bled from its lips. I raised my eyebrows in surprise, though I tried my best to not betray my own thoughts. Genuinely, I had not expected him to follow through. Darius exhaled slowly. There, happy? The boy whimpered, but he was still breathing. I pulled him to his feet, revealing a salve from my pack. You okay, kid? He looked into my eyes, mortified. They always became afraid. While my mask covered most of my more unsightly features, my eyes gave me away. The icy blue of my irises cast light and reflected off the youth's freckled skin and chestnut eyes. His irises flicked back and forth, pupils blown as he tried to figure out if I was going to eat him. Breathe, I said, holding the salve out to him. I'm going to put this onto your neck, okay? It's going to stop the bleeding. Get away from me! The boy shrieked, tumbling onto his backside as he scrambled away from me in the hay. Help! Before I could stop him, the boy had backed right up into Darius's legs. Once there, the boy's head tipped back, his eyes locking onto Darius's dripping hand, coated in blood. Vampire! He shrieked. Oh, hold and protect me! Somebody help! Alright, we're going to take a brief break because we're going to have ads. So, if you need to get up and drink some water or hang out, I'm going to eat some egg and some rice. Feel free to take a brief break for just a minute or so, and then we'll be back after the ads. Jace made garlic rice and an egg, and I swear, Misty step into his chest. Honestly, maybe he should have listened. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. I'm going to use this ad time to go and get some drink. I will be right back. Alright, for those of you not cursed with ads, I have returned. I got an energy drink, and it is delicious. Alright, welcome back from ads. Let me swallow this bite, and we can go ahead and continue. Alright. Darius knelt down quickly, placing his clean hand over the child's mouth. I hovered my hand over my chest, ready for this vampire to betray me, to permanently silence the boy. Instead, he took a deep breath, his chest rocking the boy forward. Vampires didn't need to breathe, so this was all an act. Breathe, Darius crooned, making sure the boy felt his steady breath. You're safe. The vampire that attacked you is dead. See? The boy, muttering under Darius's tight hand over his mouth, looked at the dead body on the floor. Slowly but surely, his breathing slowed beneath Darius's grasp. Darius nodded and continued. Good. Now, you're hurt. Let us help you. Are you going to scream? The boy shook his head. Good. Something flashed in Darius's eyes. Magic. His eyes glimmered only slightly, something a human not versed in the practice wouldn't notice. Lean your head back. Everything happened before I could stop it. The boy obeyed, tilting his head back as Darius bent over him. I yanked Reckoning from my chest, hoping to draw it in time. I wasn't fast enough. Darius pressed his lips to the boy's neck. Stop! I roared, launching myself at him before he could feed and take the boy's life. What? Darius hollered, and when he raised his head to look at me before I collided with him, I barely caught his expression. Confusion and shock. Most importantly, though, he didn't have any blood on his lips. I crashed into him, Reckoning at his throat again. A searing red line formed on his skin as I threatened to slice him open right there. The boy was tossed aside and hit the hay, yelping as he was thrown. I searched Darius's face for the boy's blood, then looked to the child, who sat up, confused. Get off me, Inquisitor! Darius barked. You're burning me! The boy brought his hand to his throat, which had been healed by Darius. I sighed. Vampires had the incredible ability to weave wounds together, both their own and the wounds of others. He had done just that. I growled and lowered Reckoning, then stepped in the boy's direction. He startled at my sudden movement and bolted from the barn before I could stop him. My lip twitched. Great. What the hell, Inquisitor? Darius gasped as he sat up, clutching at his throat and the blood that came from it. He drew a handkerchief from his pocket and pressed it to the wound. Is this what you wanted? Have me take care of a problem for you and then snuff me out? No. I turned slowly to face him. I wanted proof. Proof you can still choose for yourself. He looked stunned for a moment, then smiled, slow and sharp. Then you'll be pleased to know I make terrible choices. The boy was long gone by the time we stepped out of the barn. Good. There was no part of this that the kid needed to witness. Darius wiped blood off his hand and onto his coat. That was less satisfying than I expected. It's not meant to be satisfying, I said. No, he agreed quietly. It never is. We stood in the shadow of the barn a while, long enough for the sun to creep over the hills in pinks and purples. It was dazzling after so many hundreds of years of gray, pale light through the clouds. I thought it'd feel like a penance, Darius murmured. It's not the first time I've killed another vampire. Sometimes they got unruly, decided they'd try to vie for the throne, remove me from the equation. It, didn't work. I assume you're more interested in seeing me jump at your orders and grovel a little bit. Hi, Ryan. Welcome to the YouTube side. Welcome on in. I don't need your groveling, I said. I need your free will. Huh. Free will. He chuckled. Destiny, fate, choice. And what choice is that? Is it a choice if your will is if it is your will imposed on me, Inquisitor? I said nothing. He lifted his gaze to mine, voiced like a man already tired of waiting for answers. What exactly is the nature of this arrangement? My bird flew over us, cawing distantly. I blinked, listening. A black shadow appeared in the corner of my vision, one I knew I could not directly look at. A dark hand rested on my shoulder, one that only I could see. He is powerful. While he must come to an end eventually, he could be a useful tool. The enemy has been allowed to fester, and two hands work more quickly than one. Then, at the end of this road, when he serves his purpose, we can dispose of him. I stiffened. Work with a vampire? I had never done something so reckless. What was she thinking? Don't fear him. You ultimately can end him if you wish. Justice will be best served if he is the hand that dismantles the mess he made. With a deep breath, I nodded, mostly to myself. You're to do exactly what I say, when I say it. My goddess has told me that I must rid this place of the infestation you caused. My traveling party has disbanded, leaving me with limited options. I need to deal with this problem swiftly and with intent. The sooner I can eradicate the vampires and other monstrosities you allowed to breed here, the better, I stated. And you want me to help you? Turn into some crusader? March behind your goddess, slaying my kin until there's none left but me? Yes. He barked out a laugh, but there was no real humor in it. Either way, in the end, I die. It's the same thing you've been chasing. That shut him up. He thought on the offer for a moment. Sometimes the weight of the silence does the work for me. Evrena watched. Her hand crept from my shoulder to my throat, fingers as icy as death, as she waited to see if Darius would submit. Finally, the king sighed. And if I say no? Reckoning is the answer to that question. No trial? You've already had one. He chewed his lip and thought. And what do I get if I say yes? I stared at him. Nothing. More time to live before you are finally laid to rest. Nothing more. He laughed again, bitterly this time. You're shit at recruiting people to your god's cause, Urian. I'm not recruiting. I'm offering you a way to matter before your body turns to dust. Darius fell silent for a long time. Then, slowly, he reached beneath his shirt and pulled something free, dangling on a chain. Gold, ornate, a ruby glinting in the cool shadow of the barn. A motif similar to it had been all over his castle, engraved into the walls, etched into these stained glass windows, and painted in murals. A heart. My birthright, he said, almost gently. My mother gave her heart for this country, and then she gave her heart to me. I keep my heart close to hers always. But it's heavy. He turned it over once, twice, then he tucked it away. Sure, he huffed. Why the hell not? It's better than sitting bored in my castle. I stared directly into his eyes. That's not enough. It never is. I stepped forward, close enough that I could smell the incense still clinging to him. Kneel. Oh, we're doing this properly then. But he knelt anyway. I placed my palm on his forehead. His skin felt icy cold even through the leather of my glove. He flinched but held still. Repeat after me, I commanded. I am dust. I am dust, he echoed, soft but steady. And to dust I shall return. And to dust I shall return. Everena's hand left my shoulder, cold, absolute, binding. Rise. So, do I worship her now? Not if you don't want to. I watched Darius stand, but regardless, she owns you now. He grinned again. What now? Now, I murmured, you learn what it means to live. We're going to need help. I can't do this with just the two of us. Do you have any suggestions? I raised a curious eyebrow at him. Who could he possibly have in his back pocket that would be willing to help? I have a couple of people in mind. We'll need to stop by my castle again to ask. They better not be dead. Hold your judgment until you meet them, if you please. They also must hold to Avrena's tenets. They want to live, just like I do, Inquisitor. That's all any of us want, really. I won't work with underqualified mercenaries. Darius chuckled. They're not mercenaries. One of them is someone I turned. Yura, a bastard, but no vampires. Hear me out. He's quick with the blade and good in the dark, and a woman, Astrid. His mouth twitched like the word was too sweet on his tongue. She's been living in my castle. Ran away from home. Oh, so the next victim for you to turn. I shook my head. Vampires were so predictable. I had seen both of them in the castle, but had put them on my list of things to deal with later. No, he clarified. I never touched her. Never even tried. That caught me off guard. You expect me to believe she's a cleric, Darius added, too casually, of a Halden. New, but good. I stopped cold on the trail. A Halden, the enemy of all vampires, light and life, sworn to burn all things in shadow to ash. And he trusted her? And you let her live. Darius shrugged. She hasn't tried to burn me to a crisp yet. I should have argued, should have finished what I started. Avrena's will be damned, but Avrena's fingertips pressed cold and certain at the back of my skull. Take them. I exhaled, slow and bitter as winter. Fine, gather your friends, Starban. But they answer to me, you all do. Darius grinned, teeth sharp. Wouldn't dream of it any other way. I faced the castle as it loomed over us. I understood. This wasn't mercy. I was at war. I always had been. I had to take any allies I could get, whether I liked it or not. Yep, and so that's how that happened. Yeah, Darius could have chosen to die. He could have, you're right. Also, welcome in, Rhyme. Welcome to the book launch party, the audiobook launch party for my book, King of Dust. I hope you're having a great time and a great day today. We're going to be doing some live book reading, and we're going to be also doing a Q&A. You can ask me any questions about recording audiobooks, writing books, publishing books, all of that nonsense. Dungeons and Dragons, vampires, etc., etc. And if anyone is interested, again, I'll go ahead and put the linky links over here to all of my bookies. If you want to get some audiobook action going on, you can either get it from Audible. If you have a subscription, you get an Audible credit a month, or you can purchase it outright. Or if you already have Spotify Premium, King of Dust is included in Spotify Premium if you want to listen to it. So, it is there for you to do so. If you want to buy an MP3 version of it, where I get more money via, like, you know, the Amazon Audible stuff, I do also have it as an MP3 as well. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you're definitely right, I do think Avrena knew for sure that unfortunately killing Darius won't kill the spawn, but yes, Jace is right. The wives were dead. They got insta-hella nuked, actually. They effectively just, like, left the door open with the sunlight going in there and then trapped them inside a prison. It was a disaster. So the wives were dead. And that was fine, but unfortunately, because of the nature of Darius's curse, it really wouldn't have done anything. So Avrena knew this, but ultimately, this is a lesson for Urian to learn as well, because as much as he likes to think that he's right 4,000% of the time, sometimes even the crustiest people also need a little bit of a wake-up call, and Urian is that guy. Bless him. It's not his fault, he's just kind of dumb. Yeah, and Avrena is a little creepy. She's, she doesn't really know how to engage with humans. Because she herself is like a being from beyond life and death, if that makes sense. She doesn't quite understand. Urian sat too comfortably in black and white thinking, and Avrena was like, learn critical thinking yourself, bitch. Yeah, true. Well, if you guys like that short story, here's a link to it if you would like it. It's over on the Twitch side. If you want the link over on YouTube, here it is. please go and vote on it. You can go on to Wattpad, and there's this little star up here, and you can click the vote button, and it will give me a little vote on this if you thought like you enjoyed it. I would definitely appreciate the votey votes. It helps me out. But yes, I really liked doing these prequel short stories. I may release them as like a printed version later, because that could be kind of cool. That would be pretty sweet if I do say so myself. Oh, thank you for the votes. Thank you, thank you. And again, if you haven't voted or left a review for King of Dust, you can go to the page over here, click buy on Amazon, and of course that'll take you to the Amazon page for it, where you can scroll down and hit write customer review over here on the left, and then go ahead and pop it a review. If I can get to like 25, that would be amazing. Already, this is the first book that I have that is up to 10, which is insane. Very, very helpful. It lets people know that I'm not fake, effectively. Yeah, it would be like a little anthology. It could be fun. It could be fun. It could be a good time. Oh, my back is so crispy, and my nose is so schmlipply. That's all I gotta say. I don't know what schmlipply is. Oh, yeah, you're right, though. I could include illustrations in there. I've got all of the illustrations for my visual development portfolio. That is actually a really good idea. I wish printing in color was not so expensive, but like if insert, I'd have to think about it if I would want to print it in black and white or if I would want to print in color. But I think color would definitely be the answer to that question. I think it would make them a little bit more expensive, but it would not be so bad. Everybody likes a fun, pretty picture book. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into Gilded Coffin. So this is the Yura short story. We don't have an Astrid short story yet, but maybe soon. But yes, so this one I will give a mild content warning for it being kind of spicy. So if you're not interested in... it's technically fades to black sexual encounter, but there are mentions of nudity and also some steamy makeouts and touching and all of that other stuff. So if that's not something that you're interested in, I would look away. Look away! You've been warned. This one leans more on the romance side of things than most of my work. So keep that in mind as we go into this. But I do hope you enjoy it. This is the first time that this is being debuted at all to anybody outside of the Kickstarter. So thanks again to everybody who helped make this short story a possibility, and I really hope that you like it. The whole damn town felt like a gilded coffin. Every street and building with their weathered stone and narrow paths reminded me of what I'd lost. I moved through the sparse crowds, my boots polished but scuffed, my coat tailored but beginning to show signs of wear. I barely dodged a glob of spit from someone sitting on the side of the road. I wasn't sure if they had aimed for me, but it didn't matter. Once I had been better than them. Or so I had thought. I'd walked through places far grander than this with confidence, knowing every glance my way was filled either with admiration or envy. Now I kept my head down. The letters I'd once read in my family's grand library in Kalka were long gone, burned, along with any hope of safety or love. Even though the paper had been torched, I still remembered every word Antoine had written. He'd promised to find me if we were ever separated. He'd called his love unwavering. Now this unwavering love would be put to the test. As I passed a modest kavana, tucked along the main square. That is a typo. Help me here, y'all. I knew I was gonna find at least one today. I passed a modest kavana tucked along the main square. I saved a life.
This type of establishment the Moltrayans had brought with them when they invaded my ancestors' country, but they were so popular no one kicked up any fuss about them. Inside, people sat at small tables adorned with empty vases that hadn't seen fresh flowers in hundreds of years. Happy. They looked happy. And then I saw him. Antoine sat near the window, his dark curls as perfectly messy as they always were. His sharp smile lit up the room as he spoke to another man. His companion's laugh boomed, and I felt a bitter twist of envy knot in my stomach. Even after all this, I still felt like Antoine was mine. He was the one thing my parents couldn't take away from me. I wouldn't let them. Coward, I muttered to myself. My fingers clenched around my throat before I could, around my coat. Good God, I'm so sorry. My brain is apparently short-circuiting. Before I could stop myself, I stepped through the Kavanaugh's door. The bell above me chimed, oddly cheerful for the town of Starkovia. Heads turned toward me, their eyes glancing over my polished but aging boots and slightly frayed cuffs. It was clear I didn't belong. People of my birthright didn't live in Starkovia. Not typically. Their glances felt like a slap. Antoine's gaze found mine and his smile faltered. For a moment, neither of us moved. His companion's laugh faded as he followed Antoine's gaze, confusion in his eyes. Then Antoine stood, his chair scraping against the wooden floor. He murmured some kind of an excuse to his friend and walked toward me, his steps quick but measured. Up close, he still looked like a perfectly carved marble statue. His coat fit neatly over his broad, athletic shoulders, and his cravat had been tied around his neck in a lazy way that was almost shameful. As he neared me, the faint scent of musk hung in the air around him like a cloud. My heart betrayed me by lurching at the sight of him. "Yura," he grinned. The rest of the Kavhana returned to their busy chatter. I didn't expect... His words trailed off as he took me in fully. The coolness in his eyes stung more than I cared to admit. Did he even know what had happened? "Antoine," I replied, letting his name slip from my lips like a challenge. "Aren't you going to invite me to sit?" The corner of his mouth twitched as though he might refuse. After a moment, he stepped aside and gestured toward his table with an exaggerated flourish. "Of course," he said. "Join me." The chair creaked as I sat on it. Antoine's companion had vanished, though out of the sheer awkwardness of the whole situation, I imagined. He had left behind a half-finished glass of wine and a small plate of roasted nuts. Antoine poured himself a hefty, fresh glass from the bottle on the table, then raised an eyebrow at me. "Wine?" he asked, as if nothing in the world at all was wrong. I shook my head. "I didn't come here for small talk, Antoine." "No, I suppose you didn't." He leaned back in his chair, cradling his glass in one hand. "You look well, considering I'm no longer welcome in polite society." I finished for him. "Don't patronize me." "That wasn't my intention." "No?" I tilted my head, trying to pick apart his every thought. The Antoine I'd known, kissed in secret in hay bales in my father's stables, stayed up with until the sun rose, would have apologized by now. Words buzzed in my throat, sharp like a cluster of pissed-off wasps. If I wasn't careful, they were ready to spill out and wound him as much as he had wounded me. Before I could speak, he leaned forward. "Why did you come here, Yura? Why aren't you home in Kolka?" The question was simple, but it landed on me like he had thrown a stone at my chest. Why was I here? To remind him of his promises? To demand he fix what was broken? To beg for scraps of affection from a man who had clearly already moved on? I thought I might find a friend in whatever mess I've got myself in, I said finally. Is that foolish? His eyes flicked back and forth out of fear of betraying something, perhaps, but it disappeared too quickly to be sure. He set his glass down so he could lace his fingers on the table. You'll always be my friend, Yura. For a moment, I almost believed him. Why don't you come to my room at the inn tonight? I came out here to go on a hunting trip with some friends, but you're always welcome to chat. We can talk properly there. I scoffed under my breath. Of course, he wanted to talk somewhere privately. He didn't want my stain on his reputation. I should have walked away then. I should have laughed in his face and told him to enjoy his perfect, empty life. But I nodded. All right, I said. Tonight. By the time I reached the inn, Antoine had given me directions to. The sun had set. The air was crisp with the smell of dead leaves and damp earth. Ever since the sun went away, the country of Starkovia hadn't had seasons. Everything stayed in a perpetual autumn, but I didn't mind. When I knocked on his door, it opened almost immediately. Antoine answered, his coat replaced with a simple waistcoat, his cravat gone. His umber neck sat exposed behind his collar. He looked relaxed, almost domestic, as he stepped aside to let me in. For a fleeting moment, I remembered what life with him had been like. Antoine had prepared a small table by the fire, a bottle of fine brandy and 2 glasses waiting. He had remembered that brandy was my favorite. When he handed a glass to me, our fingers brushed, and I hated the way my skin tingled at the contact. You made it, he said, as though there was a chance that I wouldn't show up. I took a sip of the brandy, letting the burn distract me. You invited me. Come, sit. The chairs by the fire were simple but comfortable, the finest the town of Starkovia had to offer, probably. For a moment I let myself pretend that I still belonged here, that Antoine and I were still the young lovers who had shared stolen kisses in hidden corners. The illusion shattered as soon as he spoke. You've been through so much, he said as he sat too. I can't imagine what it's been like for you. My grip on the glass tightened. Don't pity me, Antoine. I don't, he said quickly. Too quickly. I'm just concerned. For you. For your safety. You have a funny way of showing it. Ignoring me for months. I thought you... He stammered as he attempted to come up with an excuse. I thought you'd gone somewhere safe. That you were staying with someone out of sight of your father. Out of sight where? I spat, gesturing out the window. Not like I can leave the country because of the barrier. Unlike you, I didn't hole away in some quiet little town with my chums while I ran away from my responsibilities. Yura, he pleaded. I wanted the truth. You promised me. My voice trembled and a sparkle of a tear gathered at the corner of my eye. I would not let myself cry. You said you would find me, no matter what. You swore it. He didn't answer. His jaw tightened as he looked away, his hands gripping the arms of the chair. He didn't drink. He didn't move. He didn't do anything. Finally, he said, long and heavy, like wind moving through empty branches. I was a fool. We both were. The words hit harder than I expected. I set the glass down carefully, afraid I might throw it at him if I didn't. Good. My voice cracked, cold like ice. Thank you for clarifying. Alright, we're going to take a brief break really quick because ads are coming. They are on the way. So feel free to get up, get some drinky drinks, and all of that good stuff. Take a breather. Fuck Antoine. Yeah. Yep. Antoine is the definition of a fair weather friend. That's definitely his whole vibe. Yeah, he's kind of awful. Talk about a bad breakup. And we wonder why Yura is like this to Darius, you know? Oh my god. Guys, I just got a job offer from a game company. Because I had applied to them earlier, and they said no, that they didn't need me at the time, and they just reached out with a legitimate job offer.
Holy shit.
I have a sample assignment to complete, so it's not necessarily like a 100% guaranteed sign-on, but it's like potentially a $5,000 gig.
Well, fuck.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, well, that made my day. That's nuts. Holy shit. All right, cool. Ads are back. Awesome. Well, I can't say anything about this because I am going to have to sign an NDA effectively. But long story short, Crazy Maple Studios, if you guys are unfamiliar with them, they were founded in San Fran in 2017, and they effectively are a media production company, and they focus on short dramas, interactive games, and a novel reading platform. So they have a bunch of really different and interesting stuff. Most of it is like really bad, like kind of trashy romance. But they have a couple of different apps underneath their belt. The first is My Fiction, which is an app for serialized fiction, and so it's a competitor to Wattpad. It primarily focuses on romance, and then of course they have Chapters, which is an interactive, gamified, like almost visual novel style app, which is really fun. And they just launched Real Short, which is a serialized TV app that makes TV shows 1 minute long. So every episode is only 1 minute, but they release them in micro bursts. It's a very interesting thing. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's pretty nutso to me. Also, if anybody is saying anything over on YouTube, I really do apologize because let me see if I can get this doc open here. But the doc is panicking. It is the multi-chat. It ain't working, or rather, it's not connecting to Twitch specifically. But I don't know. Maybe it'll be fine. Who knows? Who knows? Oh, rather, it's taking about 1 million years. I don't know. I don't know. Anything can happen. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I did apply to them earlier, and they didn't need me at the time, but I still have to do an assessment. But anyway, that's some exciting news. Let's jump back into the short story before I get too distracted. Here we go. He looked at me then, and for a moment I saw the boy I'd fallen in love with. The boy who had said my name like a prayer. "Stay," he said, so softly I almost didn't hear him over the fire. "At least for tonight." And like the fool I was, I did. "Why did you agree to meet me?" I blurted. "You could have ignored me, pretended I never reached out." Antoine's gaze softened, and for a moment the mask slipped. "Because I missed you, Yura. More than I care to admit. You've changed," I mused. "But I suppose I have too. We've both had to adapt, haven't we?" "Adapt?" I scoffed. "Is that what you call this? Being thrown to the wolves and surviving on scraps? Having every piece of yourself stripped away until there's nothing left?" Antoine frowned, reaching for my hand across the space between us. I didn't pull away, but I didn't meet his eyes. "I can't imagine what you've been through." "Don't patronize me," I snapped, pulling my hand away after his statement. "You think being here, existing, is some kind of victory? You have no idea what it cost." Antoine chose his next words very carefully. "I've heard rumors, but I suppose that's why I wanted to meet with you. I wanted to know what happened. Out of your mouth." I wanted to laugh at the audacity of the request, but the sound caught in my throat. Against my better judgment, the words began to spill out. How I got here doesn't matter. I gazed into the fire as a log collapsed. My father wanted to shape me, mold me like clay. As a child, I didn't like who I was, not really. My father promised that he would find someone to make me whole, to do what the gods hadn't done at my birth. It took him years, but eventually he found those who could complete his request. Yura, I don't understand. Antoine's eyebrows crept up his forehead in disbelief. I couldn't go through with having heirs, Antoine, I said, feeling myself get sick at the thought. The idea of having life inside me growing in a womb I didn't want, I would have rather died. And my father found someone who could make it all go away. Then he used that freedom he had given to me as a tool to force me to be just like him. Antoine's eyes widened as he finally understood. You were a woman. As a child, yes. I shook my head. I never felt like I fit. I didn't start to care about my body until I started to come of age, and then everything came crashing down around me. Now, because my father has found out that I've never been interested in women and will never give him what he wants, I'm no better than the contents of a chamber pot meant to be thrown into a sewer. Antoine's expression became unreadable, his silence louder than anything he could ever say. I hadn't ever told anyone else. When I finally looked up, I saw something in his eyes that made my stomach turn. Pity. He looked at me like one would look at a wounded animal that needed to be put out of its misery. "You're strong, Ira," he said finally. "Most people wouldn't survive what you have." Is that supposed to make me feel better? I stood, shaking the table with the glasses on it. To know that I'm a tragic success story? Hold the phone. Another typo. It's fine. Everything's chill. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. If we don't look at it that hard, it never existed, right? It's fine. Okay. I took a sip of the brandy, letting the burn distract... whoops. Not... plot twist. Not that one. Is that supposed to make me feel better? I stood, shaking the table with the glasses on it. To know that I'm a tragic success story? I didn't mean it like that, Antoine amended. I don't know what else to say. Your body looks so real. I am real, I rasped. Perhaps it's better if you don't say anything at all, Antoine. I shouldn't have come here. This was a mistake. Wait, Antoine said, rising to his feet in kind. Please stay. I'm sorry. I stumbled to the door, nearly tripping over the leg of my own chair. I paused, my hand hovering over the doorknob. Why? I demanded, the single word as bitter as the ghost of the brandy on my tongue. Because I owe you that much. The inn fell quiet, save for the faint creak of the floorboards under my feet as I froze. My chest heaved with frustration, my jaw clenched so tight it felt like it might crack. I didn't turn around, I couldn't. If I did, I wasn't sure what would happen. Would I cry, scream, hit him? It all bubbled up inside me, a volatile mix of anger and longing that threatened to ruin everything I had left. You have a funny way of showing it, I finally said. I couldn't hold off any longer. Antoine took a steady step closer to me. That's why I had to see you. I can't keep pretending I don't care about you. I've avoided you out of fear of ridicule, and I realized that was cruel. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I turned then, my eyes locking onto Antoine's. The man stood a few feet away, his dark curls messy from running his hands through them. He looked as disheveled as I felt, and it only made the ache in my chest grow stronger. You say that, I sighed, but the fact that you didn't come and find me tells me that I'm nothing more than a distraction from your perfect life. I'm a mistake you don't need. Antoine didn't flinch, and I wasn't sure if that made the whole situation better or worse. You're not a mistake. You've never been the mistake. I stared at him, my chest tightening. I wanted to believe him. Gods, I wanted to believe him so badly. But the scars of my past were too raw, too deep to ignore. You think saying sorry is enough? That it fixes everything? No, Antoine admitted, his voice rough with emotion. He took another step forward, closing the distance between us. No, it's not enough. But that's all I have. I'm sorry. For everything. You don't get it, do you? A tear leaped over my eyelid and trickled down my cheek. It's not just about the apologies, it's about trust. And I don't know if I can trust you anymore. Let me earn it back. Antoine extended a hand. Antoine hesitated a moment before cupping my cheek. The touch was warm, familiar, and it made my heart ache in ways I couldn't put to words. I leaned into it almost instinctively, my body betraying the walls I'd tried so hard to build. Another tear slipped down my cheek. I hated how weak I felt, how easily Antoine could break me down with just a few words. But I also hated how much I still wanted him despite everything, how much I still loved him. Before I could stop myself, I surged forward, crashing my lips against Antoine's in a desperate, hungry kiss. It wasn't genuine or sweet. It was messy and fierce, fueled by all the pent-up feelings I'd been refusing to acknowledge. Antoine froze for a split second before responding, his hands sliding into my blonde, long ringlets as he kissed back with equal intensity. Our bodies pressed together, heat blooming between us as the kiss deepened. My hands fisted in Antoine's shirt, pulling him closer while Antoine's grip tightened in my hair. Every emotion in the room collided, a whirlwind of passion and pain and fear and love, all tangled together in a way that left me feeling dizzy. When we finally broke apart, both of us breathed heavily, our foreheads resting together as we tried to catch our breaths. "Yura," Antoine whispered, his voice shaky. "Oh, shut up!" I interrupted, my voice husky but firm. I didn't want words. Words had only ever gotten me into trouble. Instead, I leaned in again, capturing Antoine's lips in another searing kiss. This one was slower, softer, but no less intense. My hand slid his suspenders from his shoulders and ripped his shirt up and out of the waistband of his trousers. Up and over his head it went, and for the first time in months, I put my bare hands on his skin. Morning light filtered through the curtains, soft, golden, and painting the room in a gentle glow that was wholly at odds with the cold weight in my chest. I lay still, staring at the ceiling and listening to the faint rustle of fabric and the soft scrape of boots against the floor. Antoine's movements were quiet and deliberate, the way they always had been when he was trying to sneak off somewhere. I turned my head just enough to see him. He stood by the mirror, adjusting the collar of his embroidered jacket. He was preparing to step back into the world he belonged to and leave me alone in the bed. "Off so soon?" I asked, hoping to catch him before he slipped away entirely. "You're awake," he stated, without looking at me. His throat choked around his voice, tinged with something I couldn't quite put my finger on. I hoped it was guilt. I sat up, the sheets pulling around my bare waist. "I am now." I met him with apathy. "You didn't have to be so quiet. I promise if anyone sees you with me, that it'll only be my reputation that suffers, not yours." "That wasn't my concern, Yura." "No, I suppose it wasn't." I swung my legs over the side of the bed, planting my feet on the cold floor. The room smelled faintly of the wine we'd shared the night before and the cologne that he had applied to his neck, musky and peppery. Ad coming soon. I don't think so. The ads are coming in like 18 minutes. We are good. We are still good. For a moment, we just stared at each other. I hoped I made him uncomfortable, whether from my exposed body, a reminder of what he had done last night, or the fact that I just wouldn't leave. Finally, Antoine sighed and ran his hands through his hair. "Yura," he began in a tone that a parent uses when scolding a child. "Last night was something I'll cherish. Truly. I missed you. But we need to be realistic about what this was." I laughed, a curt thing that sliced through the room. "And what was it, exactly? Enlighten me, Antoine." His eyes flickered in unease. "Good. Let him drown in the discomfort." "It was a moment," he finally said, trying to look so strong in it all. "A brief connection. But my life, my responsibilities, they don't leave room for someone with baggage." I finished for him. "That's not what I meant." He turned to face me fully, his hands outstretched, trying to placate me. "You know as well as I do that my situation, my ambitions, they demand a certain level of prestige." I stood, the sheets falling fully to the floor. "Sacrifices? Is that what you call it? Using me for a night of nostalgia and then casting me away in the morning?" Also, hi fanfiction here, welcome into the live stream. We are doing live book reading, so hang out, grab a drink, and enjoy the book, the short story. His jaw tightened. "It's not fair, Yura. You reached out to me. You wanted this." "I wanted to know if there was anything left of the man I once knew," I snapped. "Clearly I was mistaken." Antoine's eyes darkened in challenge, and for a moment I thought he would yell at me. Instead, his shoulders slumped as if he carried some great weight on his back. Me. I was a burden. "You're too focused on the past. You're clinging to something that doesn't exist anymore. It's holding you back." "Holding me back from what?" I cackled. From being the best destitute, estranged piece of last month's news, what would you have me do? Forget everything? Forget what you promised? No. He met my gaze with equal viciousness. You need to find a way to move forward, to build something for yourself. Your father isn't going to give you the validation you're looking for, and you're on your own. I can't go anywhere in this damn country, Antoine, I shouted. You know that. I practically can't leave the mist. I physically can't leave the mist around Starkovia, so it's not like I could go somewhere and start from scratch. I was looking for some help. For the structure you promised me. You're a liar and an asshole, Antoine. I'm sorry, Yura. He didn't sound sorry. Don't be, I replied, yanking my trousers on. You've made your choice. Now I'll make mine. Everybody hydrate. Make sure you keep your throat nice and moist. I gathered my things as quickly and efficiently as I could. Antoine didn't try to stop me and didn't say another word as I made my way to the door. My hand hovered over the handle for a moment, but I didn't look back this time. I couldn't. He was dead to me anyway. The entire town had been cast in a crisp fog that blanketed everything in a damp chill that seeped through my skin or thin coat as I walked. I kept my head down, avoiding the gazes of the passers-by. They were all familiar with me at that point, so I was sure they were eager to dig up the reason that I had crawled out of Antoine's bedroom. I wandered aimlessly for a little while, the town a blur around me. Every corner, every cobblestone was a reminder that I couldn't leave. No one could. The magic that our king had cast over the whole country kept everyone locked away like canaries in cages, though we didn't know why he had done it. So, even though I had lost my whole life, been torn from it, and smothered by reality, I couldn't do anything about it. My mind drifted to a dark place. Anger, sadness, regret. I wished I was hollow. But then, as the hours passed, something began to shift. The ache in my chest dulled, replaced by a growing sense of clarity. Of course, I couldn't go back. Not to Antoine, not to the aristocracy, and not to the person I had been. My family had made that very clear. That life was gone, and no amount of longing and bitterness would bring back something that had never really existed in the first place. By the time I reached the outskirts of the town, the obscured grey sky shifted into twilight. Though we could never really see the sun, obscured by the storm clouds that the magic had created, when night fell, the clouds parted at least enough to allow what sun remained to cast long shadows over the fields before me. I stopped, staring out at the open expanse, the cliffs that loomed above the town, a stark shape of daggers against the fading light. The castle of a long-forgotten but ever-present king sat atop the cliff. We were told never to go there. We knew what he was. A bloodsucker, a vampire, undead, or at least that was what everyone said. No one had really seen him in hundreds of years, so I personally thought everything was made up to keep children in line. Regardless, the threat of the undead was very real. Whether Darius Starban... No! Goodness, no, allergies, why? Why? Hold on. I'm sort of fine. Also, hi, Cal. Welcome in, welcome in. Welcome in from your nap. I'm dying. Regardless, the threat of the undead was very real, whether Darius Starban was a fairy tale or not. That castle likely harbored a nest of nightwalkers, and maybe it was a place, goodness, where I might finally find the end that I had been searching for. I took a deep breath, the cold air stinging my lungs. My steps felt heavier as I started the long hike up to the castle, but steadier. I was moving forward, and that, I suppose, was all I could do. Hold on, let me blow my nose again, I'm dying. Okay, whew. I curled my fingers into tight fists on the tops of my legs as I sat in front of the fire. Before me was a supposed harbinger of death, lounging by his grand hearth and swirling a goblet of something dark that I knew could not be wine. His long fingers curled around the stem, tipped in perfectly manicured nails. Whatever I had expected, this was not it. I thought I was going to walk into the jaws of something monstrous. Instead, our actual king, Darius Starban, was draped in rich velvet, his pale complexion catching the firelight as the corners of his mouth turned up in amusement. "I don't get many visitors up here," he chuckled, setting his goblet down on a side table. He curled his feet up underneath himself and drew his velvet cape around his shoulders as though he couldn't get warm despite the fire. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" I knew his history. Was I being baited into a trap? From what the rumors had said, people came up to his castle all the time, only to emerge a shadow of themselves or not at all. He chose his victims carefully, turning them into creatures of blood as he saw fit. Then they were sent to do his bidding across the countryside and make more vampires. Many assumed that the goal of the Nightwalkers was to overtake us eventually, and at the rate that vampirism spread, they were likely to achieve their goal. He should have been something jagged and hard-edged. Instead, the man before me watched me like I was some kind of novelty toy. He poured a glass of wine for me without asking if I wanted one, pressing it into my hands before fetching a plate of cheese. I was surprised he even had such things in his castle, being able to only consume, well, me. I was on the dinner menu. After he was sure I had everything I needed, he returned to his chair. "Hopefully the wine can warm you up a little. It's chilly out there." I took the glass out of politeness, but I didn't drink. It smelled like wine, but I couldn't be sure. "Thank you. I'm sure you'll vary, but I promise I take no offense." The way his voice lilted felt friendly, almost eerily so. "When people wander in here, it's typically a last resort. They're being chased by wolves or something, and they don't realize I'm here. They're typically not sure which is worse, me or the outside. Whatever you need, I hope I can provide it." Fortunately, I didn't run into any wolves. "Good to hear. I like to keep them better trained than that, but no one seems to listen to me nowadays." His speech carried a thick accent, a Mortrean one. I hadn't heard one so thick since the last time my father had forced me to visit a Mortrean camp on the outskirts of Starkovia. He hated them, compared them to diseased rats. As far as I understood, Darius himself was a Mortrean, an invader from a long time ago. "I hope I'm not intruding," I swallowed thickly. "No, not at all." Darius stoked the fire in the maw of the fireplace. "In truth, I love the company. I'm glad I can provide food or rest to those who need it. I've had my fill of food for the night, so you have nothing to fear. I know something like me is not easy to trust. Hopefully, you can make an exception for me in your time of need, yeah?" I'm not in need," I stammered. I had hoped to sound more confident, but in truth, he terrified me. Sure, he could say all he wanted, that I was not his next target, but it was already too late. Why was I afraid? I had hoped this would happen. I had hoped I would be turned into a shriveled, unrecognizable corpse. What I had not predicted was to be wined and dined first. "You Starkovians are so predictable when it comes to despair. Not to be forward. You bear it like a badge of honor. I promise there is no shame here. I am no stranger to despair." "Then you know why I am here." I took a sip of the wine. The vintage was terribly good, and though dry, it didn't choke me as I drank. He drank from his goblet again, swirling the dark liquid inside. "I might be able to make an educated guess. You either made a mistake in coming here hoping it was abandoned, or you came here knowing that I or something like me waited inside. Regardless, that means you're seeking some kind of ending, yeah? You're searching for a resolution. I guess you could put it like that. I refuse." That threw me. I set the goblet down on the table harder than I intended. "You refuse? I'm effectively offering you free food. That's what you..." I stopped myself. "That's what things like you do, isn't it?" "Indeed, yes, I eat what I need to survive. It's rather unfortunate that I have to take from others to sustain myself, but don't we all, to some extent?" His voice dripped into something solemn. "I'm not proud of what I had to do, what I've had to do in times of despair. I'd rather not add to my kill count if I don't have to." I choked out a bitter laugh. Of course, I would run into the only cowardly vampire. Aren't there others here, someone more vicious that wouldn't second-guess my offer? Not anywhere accessible. No, Darius barked. His change in tone made my skin prickle. Perhaps I had been too forward. Contrary to popular belief, I'm not trying to make an already bad situation worse. You could have gone to anyone else to end your life. If that's what you want, why didn't you? I pursed my lips. In truth, I didn't want to have to beg anyone to do it. I had hoped this would be over quickly and easily, like dying at the hands of a wild animal. An intentional accident. No one cares. Darius leaned forward, his movements slow and deliberate as he laced his fingers. And why is that? I have no place, I scoffed. At least in their desperation, people stick together, protect each other. I have no one left. I tried to be good enough. It wasn't and never will be enough. My throat tightened as I told a complete stranger my entire tragedy. How embarrassing. As if perfection was ever within your grasp, he chuckled. How dare he? He laughed? Now, I promise I'm not trying to be malicious. Let me ask you this. If perfection was achievable, would I, someone who has lived so long, found it by now? I could have built it with my own hands with all the time I've been given. Neither of us said anything. When I finally looked up at him, his gaze had drifted to look out the window. I tried 3 times to make a family, he said, more to himself than to me. 3 times. I was alone for a really long time, you know. At that point, I got desperate too. Someone tells you that they're going to pick up all your broken pieces and mold you back into something unbreakable. Of course, people lie. It's not true love. Love in its nature is imperfect. So, if your family really loved you, they would love you with your flaws. Right? It is in the imperfection that love finds its teeth. I was bitter. I recognized that the words he said made sense, but I hadn't come here for sagely advice. And yet, I grumbled, here you are, alone. Ah, he mused, tapping a single finger against the rim of his goblet, his face lighting up with a smile. He flashed his sharp teeth at me, but not in a malicious way. He had a sparkling, lively smile despite the circumstances. But am I? You're here, aren't you? What can I call you, if I may ask? Also, we should take a break. We're going to take a little breaky break. Ads are going to be on the way, and I don't want anybody to miss anything. So, I saw that Cal had dropped a stretch, so everybody stretch. Get a good big stretch in. Don't shrimp. Get up, get some drinkies if you want. We're going to take a brief moment to just take a little bit of a breaky here while we wait for ads to add. Darius never gets guests, right? He's like, I've had this good cheese for at least 60 years. I need somebody to eat my cheese, please. Also, I am so sorry that you have to wait for your high school transfer. Is that for Otago? Good God, why?
Because they need to be able to look over... They can't assess them directly because I can't just transfer it to them directly for whatever fucking reason because our systems are just stupid.
Yes.
And so I have to wait for them to come here to me. So I am getting them digitally via email, so I have to wait for my high school to process the submission for it, which should take no more than 3 days.
God.
And then I have to upload them to Otago for my high school results, and I'm like, I wish I could just tell you that I've had college education.
Yeah, like, what are you, what, I am not, I'm not a baby, I'm not a babo, yeah. I am different. Like, oh, yep. Damn, I'm so sorry. I am so scrankly. Alright. Alrighty. Coolio. I think our ads are done. Yes, we are free from Ad Town. Okay, I had to send an email to this man because he hasn't sent me a Zoom link for our meeting yet, and it's in an hour, and I'm like, bro, hello? Hello? Alright, cool. So, here we go. Let's keep going. I said nothing. That's fine. He shrugged. You don't have to answer. I understand. It's bitter cold outside. You should stay. I frowned. What? Stay, he repeated, his smile never fading. At least for the night. Rest in a comfy bed, and then, if you still wish for some kind of ending to your story, we can speak on it tomorrow. My eyebrow arched up my forehead as he picked up the 2 glasses. When he neared me, his cologne wafted past. Herby, like sage. You think I'll change my mind? Ah! Darius beckoned to another room as he lingered in an archway. I think we'll have some time to mull it over. Talk more about what it is that got you here. Who knows? I might not even have to do anything. I might just bore you to death. A laugh slipped from my lips then. His generosity was such a sharp contrast to Antoine's coldness, I nearly forgot for a moment that I was upset. I clenched my fingers in my lap, unwilling to acknowledge the strange warmth pooling in my chest. With hesitation, I stood and met him in the archway. You're sure this isn't some kind of hypnosis? Some trick? I'm old and tired, Darius laughed. You'd know if I was doing magic, I promise. Let me draw you a bath so you can warm up, and I'll show you to your room. Follow me this way. And against all reason, against all expectation, I did. If he ate me, he ate me. And if he didn't, the thought of having to confront my imperfection was almost worse. There you go. Look at that. Then they were roommates. Yep, yeah, it really was the gayness that was the issue. No, for real. It was the lack of baby making was the problem. Aw, thanks guys. Aw, Eric, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Is it a fic if it's me writing prequel work? This is the question. These are the questions that haunt me at night. If you like this short story, you can follow the link in the chat to go and vote on it and give it a little vote up if you feel so inclined to do so. I have dropped it over on the YouTube side as well. I don't know if anybody's still hanging out over there, but if you are, hi, and I appreciate you. I think it's just me, though, and that's okay. Sometimes that's the way that it goes. Not a fic if it's canon. True. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So those are the 2 short stories. Eventually, Astrid will get one too. Poor Astrid is traumatized. That's going to be literally the hardest one to write for, like, personal reason. I don't know. There's a lot of abuse that happened, and so she's a precious baby that needs to be protected forever, and I will fight to the death to protect Astrid. So there's that. Yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Again, if you want to listen to the audiobook, there's a variety of places to do so. I'm so sorry I keep reiterating this. This is so annoying, I'm sure, but it is what it is. I'll just flash this here. It's my website. You can go and find it. The linkies are pretty much everywhere below Twitch or on YouTube if you want to go to the description of the live. It is over there as well. If you scroll down, you can find it in there. All the linky lonks. And yeah, if you backed the Kickstarter and got the free audiobook version, you can just download it for free too. If you got the MP3. If you got Audible, you should already have the Audible version of it. Yeah, so that should be kind of fun. And otherwise, though, I'm here for probably another hour if you guys want to just chat about stuff, or if you want to ask me questions about audiobook production, how that went, what the process was like, all of that good stuff, or any other questions that you might have. At this point, I am here for y'all. I can also talk about some events as well. I know that for this month, if you want to meet up with me and hear me talk more about this kind of stuff, you can definitely do so. I'd love to meet up with you. This month is going to be fun. We only really have one event this month. If you're in the Colorado area, I'm going to be at the Erie Community Library, which is up in Erie, Colorado. If you don't know where that is, it's kind of in between Denver and Fort Collins. It's a very cool place. The people of Erie are super, super nice, and I used to work at their community center up there a year and a billion days ago. But I'm going to be doing a talk on self-publishing, kickstarting self-publishing, and how to give yourself the best leg up in the industry. If you want to come and say hi and chat with me about that. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing more events next month. So that's kind of what I got on my schedule for writing and all such good things. Darius refusing Yura offering himself up for death, mirroring how Urian refused Darius offering himself up for death is interesting. Yeah, this whole franchise has to do with second chances. That's really a big recurring theme in this particular thing, because if Darius was given a second chance, then people deserve that kind of stuff. And honestly, I think Darius recognizes that, like, people are more than what they appear right out the gate, and so he always is there to, he's always down for, like, making sure people don't feel like they're being backed into a corner or being forced to do things that they don't want to do, because he spent his whole life effectively being forced to do shit that he didn't want to do, so he doesn't want to do that to other people. What day is that event? It is going to be on August 25th at 5 p.m. You can also, if at any point you need to know where I'm going to be, I'll probably put, oh god, I accidentally opened up Glaze. I'll probably put this into our server events as well. So that'll get updated soon, but the info is in the schedule. I don't have an address yet because they're still working on my promo flyer, but once that promo flyer is finished, they misspelled my name a couple of times, so I'm waiting for them to get back with me on that one. So I will update that in the Discord if anybody wants to pop over there. I know it's kind of a drive for most people because Erie is in kind of a weird place, but it should be fun. It'll be very educational. But that's okay. We're going to see who shows up. We're going to see if I can get any random people I've never seen before to come and vibe. But it'll be cool. It'll be cool. I'm going to go ahead and turn up the music again. I do enjoy the randos that I've never seen before. And then after that, my con schedule is kind of back to normal. I'm going to be doing Mesa County next month. And then I'm also going to be doing this event called Some Kind of Spook Show in Aurora, if you want to go and come enjoy a bunch of hearses and stuff because it's cool. But I'm actually going to take a brief break really quick. Think of questions, and I will be back very shortly. Okay, cool. Okay, I've just come back. What is your favorite color? Mine is probably... I gotta go with black. I'm a basic emo bitch. If I had to pick an actual color that's not like the absence of color, or truly a combination of all colors, because black is a combo of all colors, all things considered, I gotta go with probably like red. Can we kick Yura's dad in the head? That's actually, if I were to write a book about Urian and Yura specifically going on their own side adventure after King of Dust, it would predominantly deal with that subject matter, and most likely be from Yura's perspective. So it could be kind of interesting. Or Yura and Urian's perspective. So I'm not sure how that would go. Could be kind of interesting, but probably just Yura. Okay, one question and then I gotta go. How the heck did you handle listening to your own voice over and over while mastering your audiobook? And how could you tell if something was actually an issue that needed to be edited versus you just listening to it too much? I see. Okay. So, totally understand that. Yeah, first, I actually actively hate the sound of my own voice. Particularly after I started testosterone, believe it or not. So, for me, the quality of my voice changed over time, obviously, and I do not like it anymore. It is just the way that that's just the way that it goes. Sometimes that's the way that it happens. So that being said, first, I guess I should say I had some training because I did a podcast for this gentleman. His name is John Rhodes, and he wrote a podcast called Absolute History. No, what is it? John Rhodes on History. John Rhodes on History? Yeah, John Rhodes on History. You can find it on Spotify and on Apple if you want to look at it. But John Rhodes, he is a very, very, very old British man who has an unfortunate habit of making very sloppy mouth sounds in his pre-edited podcast episodes, and it's definitely no shade to him. He's a great speaker and very knowledgeable about his topics. He's just very old. So after you listen to that for so long, anything somehow is less bad. So for me, listening to my own voice after that was like, man, I don't really like the way that I sound, but somehow this is better. So, when I went through and I mastered all of my stuff, I focused primarily on making sure that my voice was legible or like understandable, crisp, clear, and understandable really was the main thing. And otherwise, I didn't really think too much about it. Then I shifted my focus to the main things that mattered, which are things like pops and clicks, peaking, let's see, what else? Weird inhales that shouldn't be there, things like that. And so going through and making sure that all of those things are mastered correctly is the most important thing. And then finally, the grossest and the most technical thing is making sure that it's properly mastered for if you're going through like ACX for like Audible. Because otherwise their requirements are incredibly rigorous, and if you don't have the right noise floor, if you're not meeting the right like RMS, or if you're not, things like that, they will not let the audiobook through. So tweaking that and making sure everything was chill is difficult. It was difficult, but that was the hardest part. But in terms of like, the only thing that I would really edit out is if I ever listened to something and I found myself stumbling over a word, I would just stop and re-record it. So that way it didn't end up being a situation where I would be listening to it and go, oh man, I pronounced that word weird, and then I had to go back and like edit it out and then re-record later. It was just something that I was kind of mindful with while I was actually recording the audiobook itself. But yeah, it can be really difficult, I think, to edit and not only master your own book, because it's like that process in itself is like pulling teeth. But it was a lot of man hours. This was like, I want to record audiobooks for other stuff, but ultimately, that's what's holding me up on recording like Brady audiobooks, for example, is that like the sheer amount of time that it takes to do it is really long.
So just keep powering through it. You got it. You'll make it eventually. I believe in you. It is what it is. Worth it, though. Definitely worth it. Yeah, I would love to. I would love to record audiobooks for literally everything I have, because I think it will make a difference for people when people come up to my booth and they're like, hey, do you have an audiobook? I can be like, actually, yes. So that'll give me like a little bit of an advantage there. It's just nice to have accessibility options for people, if that makes sense. At least we can dream. And that's okay. Yeah, thank you, Eric. That's awesome. No, you're amazing. Yeah, no, I screamed and flew through that. It was, when I say that was all I was doing forever. Like the moment I got done with work to the moment I was doing work again, it was all recording and re-recording, mastering, and then figuring that out. So it was crazy. But yes, thank you so much for your support. As always, you are amazing. But I hope you have a good rest of your day. See you later. Good luck on your audiobook as well. How did you end up picking King of Dust as your first audiobook? It's the bestseller. It's the bestseller out of everything that I got. As much as there are some people, I think some adults out there who do love to read kids lit, which is awesome. And the majority of the titles that I do have, I mean, I turned around and I look behind me. Every single thing that I have behind me, except for King of Dust, is kids lit. So as much as I think people love reading kids lit, they're a very niche group of people, and the more important group is going to be adult readers. And ultimately, I've had more people ask for adult books and ask for King of Dust specifically, versus people being like, hey, do you have an audiobook for the Brady Von Eltis books? They just don't. Like, that's just something that just doesn't happen. So that was mostly why, if that makes sense. Hi, Gamby. How are you doing? Welcome on in. We just got done doing a live stream where I read aloud a couple of my short stories from my King of Dust universe. And we're talking about audiobook production, and I'm answering questions about how to make an audiobook, what it takes to make an audiobook, why audiobook, who audiobook, those kinds of things. Yeah, so if you're interested in listening to my brand new audiobook that launched on August 1st for my vampire fantasy King of Dust, you can either buy the audiobook directly from my store, buy it on Audible, or if you're on Spotify and you have Spotify Premium, hello, why, you can listen to it for free already. Sort of, you're paying Spotify, but you can listen to it over here if you want. So if that's something that you are interested in, you can definitely check it out by following the link that I threw into the chat. But welcome on in. I hope you're having a great day. Oh, I'm dying. I think my nose figured its stuff out, though, maybe. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what my... Let me go see.
My goals are... Oh yeah, my follower goal is to get to 410 followers, by the way. But I think I might set the goal for TikTok. If we get to 1,000 followers on TikTok, then I will write an Astrid short story. That probably will be my next big goal there. So, could be cool. And we're getting pretty close. I'm so glad that you all like the short stories. I like writing them too. They're fun because they're bite-sized, and I've been reading a lot of novellas lately, and it's been very inspiring for me to listen to short format content like that, or to read short format content like that, and to be able to just kind of enjoy the overall small nature of the stories. And so now it's got me thinking about novellas and things like that, and writing shorter form content more frequently rather than full novels. Yeah, I think part of it is the shorter attention span. That may be a bit of it. I think that part of it is that certain book ideas, like when you're coming up with an idea, not everything is suited for a mega long novel. But like, that being said, when you're writing your content and you're working on these kinds of things, you have to ask yourself, is this enough content to last for at least 60,000 words? And if the answer is no, that's okay. So then you have to just reevaluate and figure out, it's like, okay, is this a novella? Is this a short story? What is this? And then once you figure that out, then you can start to really make headway on how you're going to market your piece. But I think that there's a lot of pressure on writers specifically to be like, yeah, you got to make a novel. And it's like, well, why though? Like, there are plenty of writers, very successful ones from now and, decades ago, who only wrote short fiction, and they did just fine. So like, why? Don't make no sense. Okay, cool. Now all the goals are updated in the Discord. Also, ads are going to be coming here pretty soon, just so everybody's aware. But yeah, I enjoy the short stories. I enjoy. All in all, it's good stuff. I'm definitely excited to keep working on things. I don't know when I will be able to produce my next audiobook. I think what's going to happen is if I can get Appetite written and completed, I will be in a really good spot. And then once that is written, I'm going to go in and work on an audiobook. And then after that, I think I'm actually going to bring Mirror Gaze to print probably, and that'll give me some more time to work on maybe more audiobooks throughout the year as I work on the promo stuff for that. But also, that makes me think about how the 10-year anniversary for Brady is going to be coming up in 2027 or 2028. And I know I want to have really some very special edition books for that. So that's going to be kind of its own interesting monstrosity, and we'll see how that kind of works. What specifically inspired you to write King of Dust? I think I've probably touched on this before, and if you got the exclusive audio commentary for the Kickstarter as well, for the audiobook, I talk about this in here as well. It's that stupid Dungeons & Dragons campaign. Also, too, I do find myself as a critic, and I know I've mentioned this on stream a lot before. I have this specific problem where I look at stuff that is very popular, and it's very easy for me to see narrative flaws and stuff because I'm very analytical. But also, too, I know and understand what makes things emotionally impactful because I myself am a very sensitive and emotional person. And the reality is that, like, if you want your book to be good, and I tell this to my students all the time when I teach my either my intro to animated storytelling class or any writing classes that I teach. Oh yeah, let me wait. Thank you. I will chill out for the Twitch ads. I'll vibe. I want to get gummy worms. Are you fucking kidding me? What? Those are the best ads. Are you joking? And Celsius. I'm like, cheers, my brother. Like, I'm just fucking over here chugging an Alani and crying. Everything is chill. Okay, cool. All right. Are we back from ads? Yes, we're back. Amazing. And Applebee's. Ew, gross. Yeah, so anyway, totally, like, my main problem is that because when you're creating any kind of story, what you're doing is what I like to tell my students is the art of emotional manipulation. You are trying to make your viewers, your readers, your players, it doesn't matter if you're writing books, designing games, writing for film, writing for TV, it doesn't matter. You are trying to give them emotional damage. Okay, that is the goal. That's the 100% goal of what you're trying to do. You're trying to get them to feel something. And if your product does not do that in the most efficient way possible, you failed. Right? So, if my sensitive little body, I literally cry. I will see, like, dog videos on the internet and just sob. So if I go into a movie or I pick up a book and I'm reading something or playing something and it does nothing to me, something is wrong. You have missed the plot. Something is wrong. So then what happens to me is I start to think in my brain, like, okay, what do I do to make this story more emotionally impactful? Because clearly it didn't hit home for me. So what now? And a beautiful way of doing that, like, and this is what is amazing and wonderful about Dungeons and Dragons, is that a beautiful way of doing that is by engaging with other humans and creating stories that way through play. And truly, effectively, as soon as we sat down at that table, what ended up happening is everybody was so goofy and so stupid that, like, I was like, the energy has to match. And so this can't be some serious vampire hunting campaign where the goal, like, that already I didn't like about the particular campaign, is that the goal is, it's like very traditional old school D&D. You get together, you make the party, you see the big bad monster, you kill it. And that's the goal. And it's like, well, why though? You know, and so my brain just starts asking all these questions. It's like, how did this dude get here? Why does he want to do what he wants to do? He's a person. He's got to be a person. Something had to have happened. Like, there's got to be a reason for these things. And so, because I picked so many things apart with my brain, that's how we got Mirror Gaze, where I was like, Frozen is weak. Frozen but better. I probably am going to be writing a middle grade piece that's inspired by how bad of a fucking fail Despicable Me 4 was. I really like the plot, but I think the execution was really bad, so that might be something that I release in the future, and King of Dust is not really any different. Where specifically even too, I was using certain features of the actual D&D campaign, like the Murder House in the Curse of Strahd campaign, as a launching off point. It's a familiar place for people to start the book, and they go, oh yeah, this is just like the Murder House from Curse of Strahd, the new Curse of Strahd module, and then it takes a pretty dramatic left turn. So that hopefully makes sense. And yes, I did make illustrations for the Brady books, and I would love, I have all of all regular editions of the Brady books are illustrated, but I definitely would include illustrations in the special edition. Probably I'd be doing stuff like sprayed edges. I most likely would be including concept art or illustrations that I've done in the Brady books as well, so they would end up being really big books with lots of art and cool covers, hardcover, and most likely I would combine all 5 of the books into one book for like an omnibus is what those guys are called, if I were to do a special edition of the Brady series. So that's kind of how that would look. Everybody likes a fancy book, especially if it's big and thick and you can whack somebody with it. Everybody likes a whackus bonkus. Truly. And also too, if you have a hardcover, then you're not at risk of like, totally breaking your book, right? Because that would be sad. And kids destroy books too. Paperbacks don't like last very long. And eventually I want to have hardcover editions of all the Brady books as well, which is something that I really should get on. And I'll probably do that before the Kickstarter for the Brady Omnibus. So that way you have the option of buying Brady paperbacks, Brady hardcovers from Ingram, which they look lovely, by the way. The hardcover for Brady 1 is just so delightful looking. It's delectable. So I love that to death. And then an omnibus if you want the special, super fancy, very sexy looking, big thick boy. So we'll see. I have a couple of cool publishing plans in the future, but I have to just try and figure out how I'm going to navigate all of this, especially because I'm going to be moving to New Zealand, but I believe I'm still going to be publishing through the US, like Amazon. So I have to start to figure out how that's possible, what that's going to look like, etc., etc. So it should be interesting. I just can't even express how exciting it is that you guys are like literally this excited about my work. Like, I already made the goal this year. I'm almost halfway. I'm over halfway of meeting my goal for selling 100 books this year. That's like my personal goal always, is to sell 100 books every year, which is very difficult for a small author to do. It's like that's a shitload of books. And so the fact that people care enough about my stuff for me to already have sold 60 books, and like, it's nuts because I'm selling things to like buyers in the UK, and I'll get like notifications from Ingram that like buyers from the UK bought stuff. It's like wild. Or like, I think I just sold 2 copies, I believe, to the Erie Public Library System. So that's crazy, and it's just, to be able to see that happen is absolutely wild, and I would not have been able to do it without this stupid vampire book. So I wrote this book as a joke. I'm not even joking. I literally wrote this stupid thing as a joke because I was like, it could be fun. I'm going to put it on Wattpad. The Watties are coming up. I don't know. It could be kind of fun. And then like this stupid thing became like, look, like these numbers are insane. 29,000, almost 30,000 reads, 2,000 almost votes. Like, are you fucking joking? Like, what even? And so this thing just exploded. It's like, I don't even know. I don't know. It's 43 in Dungeons right now. That's insane. It's in the top 1,000 for, like, queer books. Out of 11,000 books. Like, what? So, like, I constantly look at these things and I'm like, how the fuck did I even get here? So that's crazy. It's nuts. So, as a gag, I literally wrote this thing as a gag. This is the lesson here. Everything that you do is awesome. Don't ever second guess yourself, because some random shit will happen and you never know. You make a joke character and it goes hard, but for a whole ass book, that's what happened. That's what happened. I wouldn't have really been able to do this without really good influences too, like Taika Waititi, for example. His writing and his art inspire me very greatly, and I think that the success of what we do in the shadows is also a very huge reason why I've had some success. And then also too, the success of the Dungeons and Dragons movie and the strength of the D&D community, you know, like, and also the gays. I wouldn't have been able to do it without the gays. I love the gays. They loved this thing. It's very nice. It's very nice. Oh yeah, the biphobic gays sucked though. We don't talk about those guys. Those guys were weird. Yeah, not those ones. We just take them, we just shove them in a box. Get out of here. Get out of here. Be gone, demon. What happened to my phone? Oh, I left it in the bathroom. That's an unfortunate thing that I did. You know that moment when you realize your phone's missing, but it was you who committed the crime all along? I committed a crime. A horrible, horrible crime! That's a video that everybody needs to watch. Hold on, I'm gonna go find it and then drop it into the joke junction. I'm not even gonna give any context for anybody for this. And if y'all wanna bully me over it, that's fine. But know that, whoops, wrong thing. Know that, you, are weak. You are weak. Oh, thank you. There we go. That's what I want. Y'all can enjoy that. There's a YouTube video in the joke junction in the Discord if you want to watch it at any point. I'm fine. I can't be trusted to do anything. Well, on that note, does anybody have any more questions? Because if not, I might end the stream early so that I can prepare for a meeting that I have with a client that may potentially be kind of weird. We'll see how it goes. But if everybody is good, I might just go ahead and dip and get some food in me and go and attempt to be a business person and do real business things. Posture check. Don't shrimp. Don't do it. Don't be that guy. Wonderful. Okay, well, on that note then, I'm going to go ahead and dip. Thank you so much for being amazing and for supporting my work. As always, if you want to share my stuff, please do. I'm constantly looking for reviews, and the book is free. So if you know people who like to read or who want to listen to audiobooks, I also function on like if you want a title, just ask, you know, like, because I recognize not everybody can afford books and things are wild, and you know you might want to read something but you don't have the ability to do so, or you want a paperback copy and reading on Wattpad gives you a headache, or like whatever it is, you know, just let me know, because I do need reviews, and I'll give them away to such an extent. You know, I can't give away like 1 million copies, but like if you're in a financial place of distress and you do want to get a copy of a book, especially if it's an ebook, please let me know, because I can gladly send you one of those your way. But But yeah, legitimately, I'm not even joking. The reviews help so much. So much. So, yeah. And for those of you who have left reviews or have supported or all of those things, like, seriously, like, you guys are phenomenal. Literally the coolest thing ever. But yeah, I'll be back. I might be back tonight with some more Date Everything, and me and Jace will play and hang out, and we'll just go kiss some objects or some shit. Last night was a mixed bag. It was a mixed bag of beds and also pissing off at least one person. So we're coming in strong. So we might be back with that tonight. If not, I will be back tomorrow for some writing sprints working on Appetite. So stop by for some sprintos if you want. And otherwise, I will see all of you later. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.